everybody, come on in, and no, your eyes are not deceiving you. I'm not doing the video, but I'm definitely going to do audio. I'm going to try to catch up with y'all on this Love is Blind. I know a lot of you been asking me to review of the series. I hadn't even watched it, to be honest with you. I got so far behind since I had gone out of town, and I said I'm going to try to catch up with everybody. I feel like the person, when somebody throws a last minute party, you're like, I don't even know if anybody going to show up. It's so last minute, but I'm going to try to catch up with y'all. So all I'm going to do is after each episode, I'm going to just try to catch up, tell you where I am, what I'm thinking. And eventually, I guess I should catch up where everybody else is. So far, I've only watched episode 1. And so the only thing I got to talk about is my first impressions of these people. That's all I got to talk about. And really on episode 1, I mean, the standouts from episode 1 really were Lydia, Izzy, who else? Maybe JP, Taylor, Uche, of course, Aaliyah, of course. Miriam, she kind of stood out to me too, kind of crazy like. And who else? I guess that's it. So I'm just going to kind of talk about them real quick. It's not going to be long videos because like I said, I got to catch up with y'all. So I'm going to have to make at least 5 or 6 of these. I don't even know what episode we're on. I guess we can call these like fireside chats. I guess we can call them some fireside chats. So let me see, who do I want to start with? I got some notes. Let me see what comments I wrote down when I was watching. First comment I wrote was like, dang, they got a lot of black people this season. They got a lot of black people this season. I think this might be the season with the most black people ever. And probably because I think there's a huge black audience that watches this show. And I think, really, to be honest with you, I think black people have done pretty well on this show of this Netflix Love is Blind. I mean, each year, I think there have been some black couples that have made it. So it's been very successful. So I like the fact that they've added even more. And it isn't just one. So that was pretty cool to see. I was very interested in seeing that. When I first saw Lydia, who is the geologist from Puerto Rico, 30 years old, I said, oh, she's way too much. And then she went on and said, everybody says she's too much. But she's too much, but yet she says she wants me to accept someone she wants someone to accept her just as she is. Any of y'all know who watch all my videos, that's my biggest pet peeve. My biggest pet peeve are people who've been given feedback in dating, but they choose to ignore it. And instead what they do is they keep trying to find someone to accept them just as they are. And that's my biggest pet peeve. It's almost as if, hey, I've gotten all this feedback from people, but I don't want to learn. I don't want to grow. I want to be lazy. I just want to stay the same old person. And I want to just keep showing up over and over and over again, the same old person, even though everybody tells me I'm too much. So I would rather, instead of doing the hard work and working on myself and maybe, rounding out some of my rough edges, I just want to keep being out here doing the same old thing and eventually find somebody who likes me. That's what I think of Lydia. And let me tell you, that little stunt she pulled at the end of the episode when she had that talk with Aaliyah after basically Uche broke her all the way down. We're going to talk about that. That little speech she gave Aaliyah was red flags. I said to myself, what is Lydia talking about? She was sitting there talking about he needs to stop blaming others, take accountability. I'm telling you, Lydia was giving me all red flags of crazy. I think Lydia is crazy. Even when she was in there crying over Izzy, she wasn't reading any of the signs with Izzy. Izzy was showing signs that he wasn't interested in her. He was really showing her signs. One of the things I don't think that Izzy liked about Lydia is Lydia just talks, and she really doesn't give anybody else a chance to talk. Her personality is so large that she actually shuts other people out. And I think that Izzy has a large personality himself, and he didn't want to be fighting for attention or fighting for the mic with Lydia. Lydia's a lot. So I don't know who Lydia's going to want. She had this sort of nerdy connection with Milton, the engineer, but I don't think she liked Milton. But to be honest with you, Milton is actually the type of person she probably does need, because he might take a more back seat to her and she could probably be more up front. But they're not going to end up together. I don't think that they'll end up together anyway, because I don't think Izzy will respect Milton. She'll probably try to run all over him. I don't know who's going to be a good fit for Izzy, because anybody who's strong enough to handle Izzy isn't going to want to be tussling with her. She's a lot. She's a lot to deal with. And she's going to find a more subdued person boring, and she's going to run over him. That's why I said, really, it's going to be Izzy that needs to change if she's going to make it in a relationship. She's going to need to be the one that changes. So that's my first impression of Lydia, rather. We'll see how that goes later on. Who else did I have something to think about? Oh, Johnny, the 30-year-old lawyer who said she had a track record of crappy relationships, and she had been married before, and she had dated a person with addiction issues. You know what I think about Johnny? I think Johnny is a masker. I think that she's a masker. I think she presents as a victim. She always talks about how I've been in these worst relationships. I've been always going out with people with addiction issues. I've been in the ringer relationships. And then she starts talking about, and she starts crying because her mother said to her, well, maybe you're not meant to be in a relationship. And she started crying. It's almost as if she was trying to say her mother said you're not worthy of a relationship. But I don't think that's what her mother said. I think her mother said exactly what she said, that maybe you're not meant to be in one. And the reason why I think her mother might have said that is because I actually think Johnny's a masker. I think she presents herself as a victim. This is going to be my guess. But I think actually she likes to control and dominate. I think so. There's some type of weird vibe that I get with Johnny, where she talks about herself as a victim, but yet I think she's part of the problem more than she wants to let on. That's just my first inclination, because she said her mother said maybe you're not meant to be in a relationship. It sounded to me like her mother was saying you're not willing to do the things you need to do to be in a relationship. She said her parents are still together. They've been together for a long time. She said she's the middle child of 6 kids. And it sounds like she said something about her mother looked at her relationships and said, maybe you're not meant to be in one. I don't know. Like I said, I don't have much to go off of. But all the victim talk by Johnny, I don't know, my bells and whistles, my antennas were up. And then she brings up this fact that people think she's argumentative, but she really likes to talk through things. That was another red flag, because nobody asked her that question. It was almost as if she broached the conversation because she's heard it before, which means I think people probably have called her argumentative. I think Johnny likes to present as a victim, but I think she's going to be a problem in a relationship. That's what I'm thinking off the top of my head. And I know that right now Izzy has eyes for Johnny, and I think Izzy has eyes for I think Stacy too. So Stacy's kind of bubbly. He feels like he could have a lot of fun with Stacy. Right now he might want to choose Stacy. They might be a handful together, but I think Johnny's a walking red flag. I really do. That's just my first inclination. I will have to see if I'm right. I don't know. I could be wrong. But who else was on here? I guess there's Taylor and JP. So far, you know what? They seem like a good match. Taylor and JP actually seem like a good match. It's the kindergarten teacher going out with the firefighter. It actually seems like a pretty good match, to be honest with you. He says he's sweet. He said it's like he's already smitten by her already. He's talking about he would propose already. Taylor is saying that she has some self-esteem issues. She didn't love herself at first, but she says now she does. And I think that so far he's coming off as a sweet person, a caretaker. He likes to cook. He likes to rescue. He's a firefighter. So he might just be the rescuer Taylor needs. So far, I don't see any really big red flags with them. So who's next? Oh, Miriam, the scientist. Red flags. She's a liar. She's a liar. And let me tell you something. Uche, the lawyer, I guess his background is a lawyer, but now he's like in software development. Let me tell you something. He gets to the meat with these women. He's horrible, though. He is horrible. I would not want to be with no Uche. He be breaking people down to the ground. You could tell he's a lawyer. It's almost like he's cross-examining these women on the stand, and he is breaking them down. But let me tell you, he broke Miriam down to the ground in all of about 2 minutes. He exposed all her lies. She was talking about she's a scientist. She was from Nigeria, but then she had a choice to live in England or the US. And then she just started talking about how she started switching from scientist to chemistry. Then she said something about she was an academia overseas working in the Middle East. And he was like, well, when you moving back? And she goes, oh, I'm moving back in 2 weeks. He goes, oh, you're not here yet. She goes, no, I live here. I mean, even Miriam couldn't keep up with her lies. But he exposed her quick, fast, in a hurry. And he basically told her in the end, that sounds very ambiguous. He was like a no. She was like a no. Miriam is a big red flag. Miriam is a liar. I don't know what's going on with her, but she absolutely was not telling the truth. And I really don't even know what this story is. I don't know if she lied to the Netflix Love is Blind people, and now she's trying to keep track of the lies she put on her application versus here in the conversation. I have no idea, but all I know is she lying. I don't know how many lies she's telling, but she definitely got some lies up in there. And talking about telling a story, what about the guy who was telling a story when he was young? He got, the R word by some woman, Chris. Chris was the one saying he'd been telling people his last time that he lost his virginity in senior in high school. But then he starts telling this story about how he felt pressure from a woman at 17 years old. And he was telling this story to Johnny. And you know what? A part of me feels like Johnny's going to like Chris. A part of me feels like Johnny is going to like Chris over Izzy, because I think Johnny is a control freak. And when she said that she dates people with addictions, I think she likes to control people who she feels are weaker. And what Chris did was he presented himself as in a situation where he was really abused. He was taken advantage of. And I think Johnny's going to be attracted to that. I think Johnny's attracted to people who maybe she might be able to dominate. I could be completely wrong about Johnny. But offhand, I'm going to say that Izzy's going to probably want to be more with Stacy. And I think Johnny might even like Chris. I think Johnny might like that little story that Chris said that he was basically taken advantage of by a woman, because I think Johnny might want to be a dominant person, even though she says she isn't. That's my first inclination, because I think he's like a bullshitter. I think Izzy's a bullshitter. I really do. He says he's a people-pleasing person. That's what he said. And Lydia said that she's a giver. Lydia says she's a giver. I didn't believe either one of them. Lydia's not a giver. I think Lydia is about herself. I don't think she's a giver. I think she's all about getting all the attention and what's in it for her. I don't think she's a giver. And I don't think that Izzy is a people-pleaser either. No, I think he's about himself as well. Yeah, I think Izzy is a bullshitter, part bullshitter. But I'm going to get to this Uche and Aaliyah thing. And let me tell you something. They do not need to be together. I have no idea what's going to happen. Like I said, I haven't watched any other reviews of this. I haven't watched even episode 2. I'm only on episode 1. And I'm going to tell you right now that Uche and Aaliyah do not need to be together. And be honest with you, they both got problems. So first of all, the way Uche broke down Aaliyah, he broke her all the way down to the white meat. You know how they tell you that she got beat down to the white meat? He broke Aaliyah down all the way to the white meat. I mean to tell you, he picked her apart so much. I was sitting here, I was aching for Aaliyah. I was aching and saying, girl, get up and walk out. Get up and walk out. Make it in, make it in, make it in. He basically broke down. He broke her down. And be honest with you, I'm going to tell you this. He actually didn't tell no lies, y'all. He actually didn't tell any lies. When he started talking about how she was a cheater, she was a recently cheater, and how he started saying that the reason why you didn't tell your ex-boyfriend that you cheated was not to protect him, it was to protect yourself. I was like, Uche is speaking the truth, but he ain't speaking it with no sugar on it. He ain't sounding empathetic. He ain't sounding sympathetic. He is reading her like a $2 bill. He was reading her up and down, but I'm going to tell you right now, he told no lies. You can call it judgmental. You can call it whatever. It was harsh. And the way that he handled it was so harsh. I couldn't be with Uche because he didn't handle that moment delicately. He might have been correct. He might have been right. But let me tell you, being right ain't everything. Being right ain't everything. And he was definitely right the way he broke her down, the way he read her, the way how she tried to turn it into she was doing something for the man. When she said she cheated on him because she wasn't sexually satisfied, and Uche said, then why didn't you just leave? Why didn't you just leave? I said, ooh, Uche, you breaking her down to the white meat. She started talking about, I was trying to suggest things. I just told him I needed more. And he was like, then you should have left. Because that's how I feel about cheaters. I'm like, listen, it ain't no problem when you don't get along with someone. It's no problem when you having problems. Then you need to leave. Leave the relationship. But I think it's a selfish part of a person that says, no, I don't want to leave. And you know what? They may have all their reasons, but a lot of times they try to act like it's for the other person. But it ain't. It's for them. And Uche narrowed in on that and dialed in on that. But let me tell you about Aaliyah. First of all, if I was in Aaliyah's shoes, that pummeling by Uche would have been too much for me. I would have stopped it a long time ago. I would have got up and left because he was really harsh. The fact that Aaliyah stood there and took it, the fact that Aaliyah didn't even cry tells me she's one tough cookie. That tells me Aaliyah is one tough cookie. Aaliyah didn't shed a tear. She didn't shed a tear when that man was breaking her down, and she didn't get up and walk out. Now, I know after she left, she walked out, and then she broke down out in the hallway, and then Lydia came over and comforted her. But the fact that Aaliyah didn't shed a tear, the fact of the things that the way Uche broke her down and said, you're not as caring as you think you are, because that's basically what he said. She tried to act like she was so caring. He basically told her, you aren't as caring as you think you are. And he started telling her, no, you did not tell your boyfriend because you didn't want to hurt him. You didn't want to tell him because you didn't want to feel the shame and embarrassment. You was protecting yourself. You were protecting yourself. He basically exposed the selfishness in Aaliyah. He basically exposed it. He really did. He basically exposed it. And then when he said, after you cheated on him, how much longer did you stay with him? She said 3 more months. And she said, did you cheat again? And she said, yeah, one more time. I nearly busted out laughing. I said, ooh, girl, Aaliyah, you don't know yourself. Aaliyah does not know herself, but Uche broke her all the way down. And these two should not, I hope they don't move forward. I know he's sitting there talking to his friend saying maybe he still wants to choose her. I don't know. But I certainly hope he doesn't choose her. They do not belong together. They do. This would be horrible. If these two get together, it's going to be horrible because I actually think they actually should do some, I think they could do warfare on each other. I think in this particular moment, Uche got the better of Aaliyah. But to be honest with you, based on Aaliyah's answers to Uche, Aaliyah can dish it out in a different kind of way. She can dish it out. They can do some emotional damage to each other. But let me tell you, when Aaliyah came out and she went back to the room and Lydia was there to comfort her, that speech Lydia gave to Aaliyah, I was like, what the heck is this? When she started going and talking about Uche does not have the capacity and, he needs to stop blaming others. He needs to take accountability. I mean, the way Lydia was talking about Uche was like she already hated him. Does she even know him? Because she was talking about him like she already, I don't know if they've had conversations in the pods and she doesn't like him because the way that she was, pumping up Aaliyah, trying to tell him he's trash, you need to leave him alone, he's not the one for you. I was like, where is this coming from, Lydia? But like I said, Lydia is a whole thing all by herself. So, but I guess that's it. That's all I got to talk about. I'm not going to try to make these videos too long because I got to catch up with y'all. So I got like how many of these to do? 8 of them. I got 8 of them to do. So I don't want to make them too long, but those are my initial thoughts. I'll catch up with you. I guess as time goes on, I'm sure my opinions will change because once again, this is just episode 1. But I'll talk to y'all later. Okay, bye.